I'm a bit nervous as well, although John didn't seem nervous at all. Don't believe me. And I'm a bit more of a writer than a speaker, so I'll be a reader tonight. But just to kind of start from the beginning, Joey and I started Pollen about 3 years ago, and it was the tail end of the Great Recession, and it was a time when jobs were really scarce and fragile, as I'm sure you all know. And we saw fully capable, productive friends and family and colleagues lose their jobs, in the fickle winds of the economy. And we knew that, nothing was a given in the world of business. So, however secure we may have felt receiving steady paychecks at neat intervals with, carefully calculated deductions, we knew it was an illusion. Jobs and businesses and whole industries had crumbled around us. And, our instinct, it was not to kind of hang on to our life raft and just hope that it didn't sink.
John, can you help me?
Sure.
It was really to kind of get proactive and try to build our own future. So we saw the economy staggering and beginning its recovery, and we really hoped that it wasn't just a recovery to the same, but it was going to be a transformation to something better, and we wanted to be a part of that. I had a 2-year-old son, and I had just brought home a baby daughter, and never was the fragility of human life on this planet more clear to me. I mean, a baby does that to you, right? And so I knew that if we were going to chart a course for this little life raft, that it had to be to someplace better. And I had always been intrigued by the idea of Buddha's right livelihood. And this is the idea that you should try to do good, make a positive contribution through your everyday livelihood, or at least do no harm. And I think maybe it was so intriguing because it seems completely impossible, in modern society to not do any harm with your livelihood and to do good especially. But nonetheless, when I pitched the idea of starting an agency to my good friend Joey, it had a very important caveat, and we needed to work as exclusively as we could with environmentally and socially responsible clients. So, I did my best to wrap it in business logic, like blue oceans and targeted markets and reduce sales overhead, but really I just wanted to sleep at night. And, everyone thought we were crazy, naturally. We were leaving our jobs to start a business in a highly competitive industry in the middle of a recession. And as if that weren't enough, we were going to exit on some high horse and only work with good clients, right? So nobody thought that we would make it. I mean, these are things that you hear college kids saying, yeah, that's cute, But, my stubborn need to do things my own way and to really try to do good, and Joey's inextinguishable optimism, which you may know by now, and his creativity, they combined, and with a really immense respect and confidence in one another, and we decided to do it, and we pushed on. So this is where the going got really tough, though. Joey and I did not take a penny of startup investment or loans or any other funding. What we took was a healthy sampling of Joey's amazing design work from huge branding projects. We took a pinch of my web development work with small businesses, and we tried to create something that looked like a cohesive portfolio. And then we hustled. Our first clients, they were not eco-friendly and socially responsible dream clients. They were, bakeries and tanning salons and contractors and IT professionals. But we knew that it was working towards what we wanted to do, and it was going to enable us to work with the clients who we wanted to work with. So, this is the part that they don't tell you about being an entrepreneur, which I'm sure many of you know. It's the empty cupboards, the overdue bills, the hand-me-downs, right? The hard times. Since starting Pollen, I've had another child. I have another on the way. So that's 4. I've supported my wife through a very painful neurological condition, a very dangerous C-section. I've lived in a tiny tin can trailer. We used to call it the battleship because it was battleship blue and made out of metal. And then we later bought our first home, and then we had to actually abandon that home because it became infested with rats after the waters rose from Hurricane Sandy. And we were surrounded by abandoned houses and wetlands, and there was nothing we could do about it. They just settled in. It was a 100-year-old house. So, we've been through a bankruptcy. We've slept on couches. I've said no to a million treats and toys and nights out. This is probably our first night out. But the point is that, we didn't do this to get rich. We did this to sleep better at night, right? And we knew that, by trying to do good, there were going to be a lot of struggles, and it was going to be hard. But, we're just now starting to enjoy some of the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's starting to pay off. We believe that design is power. Right? I haven't spoken at all about what we do. We're a design agency. Okay? We design brands, we design websites and graphic design material. But in much the same way that the written word transformed societies, design is a way to craft and fine-tune ideas and send them out into the world like little copies of yourself. And it's a lot like the grains of pollen that spread far and wide, and they carry the DNA of their parent flower, hence the name Pollen brands. In our former lives working for other design agencies, we rarely got the chance to use this power for good. We applied our talents to glossy gym mailers and modern user-friendly corporate websites and beautifully packaged foods. While we looked around and we saw worthy nonprofits and innovative green companies seriously struggling. Well, we saw their design material seriously struggling. The BPs, the McDonald's, the Coca-Colas of the world, they can dump millions of dollars to purchase this power of design and affect the minds of millions around the world. While, for people who are really fighting to make a positive difference in the world, powerful design is all too often completely out of reach. So, we're not engineers, we're not civil engineers or agricultural scientists or environmental scientists, but we feel that we've found a way to do what we do to make the world a better place, and that's by helping people who are doing serious good to be taken seriously. So I'll pass it on to Joey. Okay. He'll give a little of his side of the story.
Thanks, John.
How much time?
Like John said, the only reason we're able to sit here in front of you tonight is because we truly do believe that good design is power. And I know that sounds a little crazy, but it's true. I mean, when John approached me about starting an agency, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I had a great job. I was designing brands and innovation campaigns for Pepsi, Starbucks, Unilever, Pfizer, Procter & Gamble, I mean, you name it. Worked on hundreds. And I had a really good job, and I was working on cool projects, and it would be a position that most designers would be thrilled with. And the truth is, I really was thrilled to be working on them. I really did enjoy them. But I think everybody, especially everybody in this room, gets to a point in their lives or their careers where they ask themselves, what could I be doing? Could I be doing more? Could I be doing better? How can I utilize my skill set to help people who are trying to do good, who are trying to move the world in a positive direction? So when John came to me with the proposition of starting this company, I thought about it, and I realized that life is short. It really is, and time goes so fast. This past year alone, I had to say goodbye to 2 really close childhood friends that I grew up with, and I'm only 31. So I didn't want to have any regrets, and I knew that if John and I put our hearts and our minds to it, that anything was possible. And you just have to believe that whenever you're going into anything entrepreneurial. So we couldn't leave our jobs just yet. Obviously, blue battleship, we needed income. We didn't want to take any money either. I know this is financial night, but we didn't want to be hindered by any loans, and we certainly didn't want any investors. And there were plenty that were interested, but we didn't want them to dictate our futures and tell us who we can or can't work with. We knew that we wanted to be in control of our own destiny. So, yeah, kind of. So I saved as much money as I possibly could for about a year. And John and I decided that we wanted to put together a game plan and figure out how we could develop a process by working together and blending the two worlds of design and digital to figure out a process that would ultimately help our future clients. About a year later is when we decided to pull the trigger. I had saved up enough money and I felt like we were ready. We had already been working with a couple of great clients. Our first client is actually here right now, came to join us tonight. And I reached out to a real estate broker and I signed a lease in New York City for a very small office, but it was perfect. And we designed a logo and we put a sign on the back of our door and we named our dream company Pollen Brands. We have a video that we'd like to show you, give you a glimpse into our world, see the way we work, the kind of clients that we work with. And if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to, we'd be more than happy to answer them afterwards. Pollen exists today because humans connect with good, strategic, and beautifully crafted brand design. It's through design that we can offer our clients a voice, a vehicle to be heard and to be taken seriously. In the beginning, we started with one of the most difficult brands we had ever worked on, ourselves. In 2011, we went all in on Pollen. I left my corporate position, cashed in my savings, and signed a lease for a small design studio on 38th Street. Our focus was to serve the environmentally and socially responsible community. We wanted to work with like-minded entrepreneurs who were passionate about pushing the world in a positive direction. We took on any and every project that we felt represented our niche and could deliver top-notch creative. We sacrificed money for quality design and quality relationships. Our creative briefs weren't 8.5 by 11 printouts. They were road trips, handshakes, factory visits. We needed to understand the true nutrients that live within the soil of our brands. We formulated an immersion process that ensured everything we created was as proprietary and authentic as possible. Regardless of budget, we over-delivered everything. John and I worked around the clock, and we treated every project as if it were our own. We were too busy to advertise or promote ourselves, so we relied heavily on word of mouth. We had no new business efforts. Our client referrals were the only leads keeping us afloat. In the beginning it was slow, scary slow, but once we got rolling we never looked back. Over the next few years we continued to substantiate our claim. Soon people were finding us organically through award sites, blog articles, and more. About 2 years later is when we noticed a major shift. We'd now wake up and see our inbox filled with new leads, amazing projects, and all within our niche. John and I were extremely selective though. We turned down more projects than we accepted. The purpose margin was just as important as the profit margin. We curated our clients and built a special portfolio that over time turned into a network. Our clients now contact each other to collaborate on projects. Several of our clients have even offered us partnership in their companies. Pollen has evolved from a design agency to a social incubator that has taken on a magical life of its own, certainly one we could have never dreamed of. Our goal was simply to empower our clients by offering services in the form of creative pollen. It's the audience, the honeybees that interact with this content, believe in it, and share it to formulate an even larger movement. Pollen exists today because we believe that design is power. We help purpose-driven companies grow and expand into something bigger. It's a process we call brand pollination.